Oh, yeah. Bless and love, my lords. Welcome to another PunksTalk powered by Redlioneye. I have the pleasure of having on the studio here with me Mr. Tony Herrera, whom I wanted to chat for a very, very long time. Punk OG, patron of arts, and super early supporter of the Gazette. How are you doing, sir? How are you?
GM, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for accepting the invitation. I wanted to chat with you a long time, and when I saw your podcast interview, I really jumped into it and I listened it, and it was wonderful.
Oh, thank you. That was with Maxwell. Yeah, he does. Maxwell makes it easy. He's a great host, and it was really easy, free flowing, and so it was nice to have that interview with Maxwell.
Yeah, a big shout out. I also enjoyed it a lot, my interview there. And I failed on my first one. It was one of my first interviews. And then he was kind enough to re record. So we have a somewhat okay result.
That's awesome.
Anyway, thanks for coming in, man. It's an absolute honor. Let's start how we always start here on PunksTalk. And why don't you go ahead and give us narrate for us your punk story. How did you get to buy your punk? What were the little details around the purchase and all of that?
So my punk 4786, I actually didn't buy it. So I'm a stickler for precise terminology, and so I always like to correct my fellow punks, because a lot of punks will say, "When did you mint your punk?" or stuff like that. And with punks, nobody actually minted a punk, because this preceded minting punks. All punks were claimed. So there was like about 150 wallets that claimed all the CryptoPunks, which are actually, the claim was on the V1 punks. So you have now the V1, V2 controversy, but we won't get into that right now. But basically, my punk 4786, I claimed sometime in June, summer of 2017, and that was sort of like what kind of led. I had already been in crypto for a bit, meaning a bit like a couple of years, and I had been enamored with not only with Bitcoin, but also with Ethereum and the whole smart contract process and everything. And so I was kind of enamored with the whole idea of what Ethereum could do with the smart contract process, and the whole aspect of not needing intermediaries between a business transaction. And so basically, my entry into punks was basically just by sheer happenstance. I was reading a lot about Ethereum, and was trying to consume as much as I could possibly read about the ecosystem. And I think I somehow stumbled upon the Mashable article that spoke about the punks. And so when I read about it, I was kind of instantly enamored with the idea that, oh, you have this pixelated art, 24 by 24 pixels on the Ethereum blockchain, with a token that is essentially represented the art. And so I was kind of like enamored with it, and I was like, okay, I got to figure out a way to claim some of these. So I finally figured out a way to claim some of these. It was a little wonky of an experience, because it required you to, at that time, it required you to download the Mist wallet, which is the wallet that was recommended by the Ethereum Foundation. It was a wonky wallet, because it required you to download the wallet, add the software to your computer, sync it to the blockchain in order for you to begin sending your transactions. And with punks, it required actually another step, which was that you needed a little bit of JSON code that you basically copy and pasted and requested the transaction, and it required you to change the ID. So, with punks, like I mentioned, all of them were pre-minted, and then you had sort of a grid, right? The grid of 10,000 punks, and you kind of went around and selected punk, and you could pick whatever ID of a punk you wanted. So you sent the transaction to the Ethereum blockchain. The Ethereum blockchain, if it wasn't already claimed, would send you the token, and therefore you would have your punk, right? And so for me, it was kind of like a magical experience of like being able to send a transaction and sort of like getting this token back. It was like, oh, this is kind of neat. So when I did it, I kind of was like enthralled with that experience, and so I set about to just claim a sequence. So I actually spoke earlier this morning with Valco and for our punks on other spaces and I actually mentioned that, I the reason why I have 4786 is kind of funny because 4786 is a result of the fact that when I claim punks, I just figured, okay, let me claim a string. So I start off with 4700, 4701, 4702, 4703, and I would send a transaction, wait for the punk to the transaction to confirm, and then essentially claim another punk. And so so this is kind of interesting, right? Because like it was on the 86th transaction that I claimed 4786. It might have been the 89th or 90th transaction because I had claimed a few other ones before I started claiming a string. So if you look on the blockchain,
How many did you claim total then on a
I
string?
think I claimed a total of 104.
104. Wow. Wow. And you know what always fascinates me? Actually, first of all, thanks for correcting me at the beginning. Usually I ask for the punk story, and most people have an entry price, and we also talk
Yeah.
about that. But it's always fascinating to talk with a punk claimer. And also, you mentioned the Mashable article, a testament to an article changing the world. Every punk claimer we chat with, they all quote that article. And yeah, it's one of the best articles ever. But just to give a little context to the audience, how was it to claim punks? If you can describe how was the grid and that you had to manually select and zoom in and out and check the punk visually.
Yeah. So you would go to the website. At that time it was the Larva Labs website, which you would go and you would have this grid. So first of all, you had like this like this whole explainer of like the color grid of like what punks were available for claiming. There were some punks that were, so as punks were claimed, the grid would change, right? So you had the grid. And this is actually really interesting because I one day I was speaking with Straybits, who famously claimed 7 of the 9 aliens. So and I mentioned this before. I have like mad respect for Straybits as well as Beauty and the Punk, because they actually figured out where you have like two levels of punk claimers, right? You have like those who claim the rarest punks, which would be I would account for Straybits and Beauty and the Punk in that category. And then you have individuals like Hemba and Wilcox who just claimed a boatload, right?
Who went for volume?
Yeah. And so I actually met Wilcox one day, and we were talking about experience. And here's the thing: like Wilcox managed to claim 10 times what I claimed, mostly because he figured I'm just going to stack transactions. So he just kept sending transactions to the Ethereum blockchain. So where I was waiting to confirm my transactions, I didn't realize that I could just stack transactions, right? So once again, you have these punks that were claimed by about 150 wallets. And the interesting thing about it, when I reflect back on it, I was sitting on my computer. I went to the grid, and I could see that punks were already leaving, right? Like you see that punks were like being claimed, right? And this is like, by then, this was already like several days into punks being claimed, because I looked on the blockchain, and I think I started claiming my punks on June 13th. And if you look on the blockchain, Straybits had already started claiming punks around June 9th. So Straybits had claimed punks about 4 days before I even started claiming. So even if I wanted to claim the aliens or zombies, the reality is that they were already gone. So even if I had wasted time trying to look for them, I would have sent a transaction, or I would have realized that those aliens were gone, right? So for me, it was like, I didn't really notice that. I'll be honest
But
with you. When I read
there was no notion of what is an alien, what is an ape, what is a zombie.
no.
You had to manually search for them in 10,000 and deduce that these are rare.
To be honest, I think the article did go into that, but like I always laugh because like most males who refuse to read the instructions manual, I didn't really fully read all the instructions of the Mashable article. I just figured These are cool.
Classic.
These are cool. Let me claim them. Like,
He didn't read the whole thing. Claim the 100 punks. He didn't read the whole thing.
In all honesty, I would have done myself a lot of good if I had actually taken 10, 15, 20 minutes to actually read the article, and I didn't. Right? I just figured, I got to figure it. So I think when I read the article, I was like, oh shit, how do I claim these? And then I think I was like, the next thing I did is I called my nephew, who at the time was taking a computer science. He was a computer science major in college, and I'm like, dude, I have these tokens that I want to claim on the Ethereum blockchain, but I don't know exactly how to do it. Can you take a look at this article? And he was the one who actually got back to me, like, right away. And he's like, oh yeah, he goes, this requires a little JSON code, do this and that. And by then I had actually onboarded him onto Ethereum, because at that time I was so enamored with Ethereum. This would have been, June of 2017. So we got to look back on that period. And okay, so
it was ICO peak mania.
It was ICO peak mania, and also by June, Ethereum was at like $300, and Ethereum had started the year in January at $10. So it was already like a mania, right? Like it was already like a mania of ICOs. It was already so like when I figured, okay, I got to figure out how to claim these, it was like a rush to sort of like figure out how to do it before they were all gone, right?
Did the nephew claim a punk for himself?
Ironically, he didn't. Ironically, I don't know why he didn't, which is weird, right? Which is like, it goes to show you, because, and here's the thing, that's a really good point that you're making, because I've talked to other punks, and one punk that I had the discussion with is Sean Bonner, who actually bought one of my punks, and he got the V1 and V2 for the punk. And he said to me, look, he said, I read the article. He says, I read the article, but I didn't think much of it. It's like, and a lot of people did that. A lot of people read the article and for some reason just didn't give it a lot of thought. It's like, it's just another token, right? It's another.
I completely understand. From other conversation I had with punks like Dave, who also claimed. So from what I chat with him privately and other punks, they were saying that they were excited and hyped for it, and they were like moving as fast as they could. And I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, how? And what I would expect was that, like, as you said, a lot of people were like, okay, I read it and I didn't make much out of it. This is probably what I would have, the group I would have been in. Like, I read it and yeah, it was cool. I didn't get into it much. But there was a small subgroup that was fucking excited for it.
I was excited mostly because
of the technology.
Here's a piece of art that will forever reside on the Ethereum blockchain. And for me, it was just like the novelty of it, right? Like when I look at it, I didn't think that they would be of any value. I mean, beyond a token value. It's like, oh, this is cool. It's like, this is like a piece of art that will like forever exist on the blockchain. So I like to collect like old bills, old monetary bills from like Mexico. I'm originally from Mexico. And occasionally when I travel through Mexico, I try to find monetary bills that existed before the revolution, which was when states like the state of Chihuahua, the state of Jalisco, they would mint their own money. Mm-hmm. And I have a couple of notes of those, right? And so I already came from sort of like a collectible background where like, this is cool. But what really enamored me about the punks is like, here's a collectible. Like, I don't know about you, but like I have rare coins. I've had bills. I've had comic books that somehow throughout the course of life disappeared. I either lost them or they somebody picked it up and walked away with it.
Do you have a $2 note?
It's funny that you mentioned. I actually went to Osaka. I went to the Ethereum convention in Cancun. So this would have been, I think, around 2018. And then I went in 2019 to Osaka. And in both occasions, I traveled with a stack of $2 bills, and I would give them away. I would give them away because I would tell people, see this $2 bill, this will become a relic that will no longer have any value in the future. And the reason why I did that is because I had already collected a bunch of notes, monetary notes from Mexico that no longer had a value. In other words, in Mexico went through this period of inflation and the devaluation of their currency, where in the I believe it was in the 1980s, several occasions, but in the 1980s, if you had $1,000 bill, they said, okay, your bill is still good, but now you need to remove 2 zeros or 3 zeros, and now that's the value of that bill.
Wow. You know what I always found fascinating about these statements from Andreas talks. He was saying that people say, okay, this coin is going to zero, but no coin is ever going to zero, actually to zero. Even dead currencies like the ones you're describing now, they never really go to zero. I mean, like you paid something to get them, right?
Yeah, because they have a collectible value. They have a value as a collectible, right? So it might have, so the rarest coins have the value. So even in physical objects, correct, you're absolutely correct. No token, no monetary unit goes to an absolute zero. They have some value somewhere. And that's the reason why, on the flip side, that's the reason why aliens, zombies, and apes are so much more valuable than regular punks, because they're just that more rare, and they have the best of both worlds, in that they will always exist on the Ethereum blockchain, unless, and we know that that's existed before, because some punks have been burned. They've either failed, they no longer continue to circulate, or no longer available because either the wallet is dead and unrecoverable, or the person who had it is not able to recover it, or B, the punk was accidentally burned through some process, right? Like there was a punk that was recently burned with a gentleman trying to wrap it, where he'd gotten a loan on an ape and then bought the punk and then tried to wrap it to get a loan on it, and in the process burned it. And my heart,
I feel so sorry for him, man.
Yes. And he went on there and basically he even tweeted, "It's my fault," and then he even suggested, requested that if Larva Labs would sell him the V1. I actually tweeted that Larva Labs, well, not Larva Labs, Yuga Labs should do good by him and sell him the V1. But
that's not gonna happen.
That's another controversy, because I don't know that Yuga Labs
they said Larva Labs, there was a beanie transfer. I can't remember when. Like I think it was Tupac. It was Tupac, wasn't it? I think so. I think it was Tupac. He was transferring a beanie or something. If he was transferring a beanie and he accidentally burned it, but it was a glitch or something, and they refunded him the beanie. And they said this is the first, this is the final time they will ever refund someone. From now on, it would be, whatever happens. And then all the bots and all of that, stole punks. I mean, it would have been impossible to be refunding all those people.
Well, we know that, and he hates to talk about it, but he did fine. Is Eric Snowfro burned a zombie trying to transfer it to another wallet?
Yeah, there's also a song about it.
Yes. I think Jonathan Mann did a song about that.
A coin being tossed and a coin being thrown. Yeah, I love this song. It's on my playlist by Jonathan Mann.
Jonathan Mann, yes.
But I wanted to ask, why do you think, top punk rarity matters, floor matters. Why do you think mid rarity doesn't matter that much?
So I think mid rarities don't matter that much. So when you get to trade, so right now you have the price of floor punks, right? You always have the sort of price of floor punks, but if you wanted to get sort of grail punk, or you want to get a punk that essentially vibes with you, you really need to be prepared. Unless you happen to be lucky and a floor punk really just like happens to look exactly like you, I think people need to be able to say, I'm going to pay the premium. I'm comfortable paying the premium for a Grail Punk, right? And I think that so there's a couple of things about the early aspect of NFT space, and even with punks, we're so early because, like, for instance, female punks are much rarer than male punks, yet male punks command a higher price than female punks.
Yeah,
And you have
but
to ask
that's
yourself,
because of demographics. I remember
exactly.
I always wondered about that. People were always saying, "Oh, female punks will be more valuable than male punks in the future," and I remember I was like, maybe I should have a female punk collection. But yeah, it didn't play out like that.
No, and also like it hasn't played out that way because the majority of the collectors are men, right? And here's the thing, and I remember Bloomberg interviewing me about the whole disparity of dark punks versus dark skinned punks versus light skinned punks, and also with Meebits. And I'm an individual who had gotten freaking really pissed off at the fact that all the Meebits were like dark Meebits, until I realized, hey, wait a minute, this is actually just a result of the demographic. Most people in crypto tend to be white. Most people in crypto tend to be white males who are in tech. And so we shouldn't be surprised that people are buying the punks that most vibe with them.
And
What needs
30
to
to 50
happen
is the 30 to 50 is demographic.
exactly? Like I'm even myself. I'm a lot. I mean, I've talked to people about it. And they're like, "When did you claim punks?" And I tell them, how old I was when I claimed punks. And they're like, "Oh shit, you're like really on the other opposite," because I was already, I'm probably I don't know. I'm just going to venture to think that I'm probably the oldest person here in the room. Um, and and even me, I'm an outlier when it came to tech. I'm an outlier when it came to exploring the blockchain and tech, and I recognize that. And so I had to recognize that about punks is that really what's being collected amongst the punks is those attributes that most vibe with the buyer.
Did you buy Ethereum on the initial offering?
No, I wasn't early enough to Ethereum. I started buying Ethereum. I so I set up my Coinbase account in 2015, but didn't really think much about it. It was like, oh, this is neat. I bought a little bit of Bitcoin, I bought a little bit of Ethereum, but didn't really think about it. And it also happened to be that and it still is a volatile period, but it was also a volatile period where when remember that when Ethereum came out, you had in the initial offering, most people who got it in the initial offering got it about the cost base is about 33 cents. And then you had like this run up, and then you had the not only the Mount Gox hack, but they also had the DAO, which was famously hacked, and it sort of depressed the prices, right, of Ethereum. So I consider myself extremely lucky to have gotten into Ethereum at the prices that were around in 2017, right? I remember like begging friends of mine to set up accounts just so I can give them the money so they could buy the Ethereum. Because remember, for what led to the rise of Ethereum in my mind in 2017 and 2017 mostly, is the fact that you needed it in order to participate in ICOs. You couldn't participate in ICOs unless you had either Ethereum or Bitcoin, and that was the only way. That was your only entry point to get into these ICOs.
And what was fun is that nobody was using any kind of contracts. Like Bitcoin and Ethereum was used exactly the same way. You send coin to address.
Exactly. And the weird thing about it is that everybody who came out with a project that was a proposed Ethereum killer, guess what? They all launched an ICO on Ethereum. It's like okay, we're gonna kill Ethereum, but in the meantime, we're just gonna use the Ethereum blockchain to raise the funds that we're gonna use to kill Ethereum.
The thing is, when I was being a noob, a crypto noob, and I was getting into Ethereum myself, I was like a crypto maxi. I like every crypto, but then I started learning more and more about Ethereum and how it works, and I got into the ecosystem, and I saw that it's the only crypto that actually has people developing for it, and it's open source, decentralized completely, and like all of it is built on Ethereum. And right now I'm trying my best to be as open to new chains and ideas as possible. The only one I really like now is Polkadot, which is a layer zero approach. But what do you think? What is your opinion about all the other chains and Ethereum killers and smart contract platforms that are coming to compete?
I'm sure that there's a lot of worthy competitors. I'm remiss in understanding some of them only because there's only so much time in a day, and I unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, I've become an Ethereum maxi in the sense that to me, Ethereum is where I saw the most development talent flock to. I was in Bitcoin, and then somewhere along the line, I started playing with wrapped Bitcoin, and then that dawned on me that a lot of the value of wrapped Bitcoin was essentially wrapped within the Ethereum ecosystem. So I started sort of like being like, okay, wait a minute. If Bitcoin is what it is, but the value of Bitcoin is being locked within the Ethereum blockchain, it's like, okay, so I the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I became an Ethereum maxi. And then I participated in during 2017, I participated in a number of ICOs, Tezos and EOS and so on. And it was just like, once those projects sort of didn't deliver on a timely basis, and we had sort of the crash of 2018, I sort of like started hunkering down, and I'm like, okay, my bandwidth is only so much. So I'm basically going to hunker down and just try to learn as much about Ethereum. I'm not a dev. I'm not a tech guy. I'm kind of more of a user experience guy. I'm kind of like just trying to solve, certain problems for kind of on a social level. And so for me, I started thinking, okay, if there's one project that I can vibe with, and that's Ethereum. And for me, I think what happened is that I started going to a lot of Ethereum conferences, and at Ethereum conferences, I started running into a lot of like people who are dreamers and thinkers and wanted to like sort of like. I ran into people who were basically more interested in changing society and bettering society than it was about like the whole speculation of number go up. And that was really appealing to me. And so I basically just stayed within the Ethereum ecosystem. I have to admit, I don't know a lot about Polkadot. I'm aware of Polkadot, but I don't know about, a lot of other competing layer one, layer two solutions beyond Ethereum. So
No, it's the only one who I understand their approach, and I can see it working. As you said, I'm not pessimistic about it, but like the more and more I get into like Ethereum and the projects and the people, like the more difficult it is to value and see the value in something else, especially launching. But yeah, you never know. How did you feel? You mentioned 2017. How did you feel in 2017, 2018 when you claimed 100 punks and you were a punk whale, and then everybody started talking about CryptoKitties?
So I actually played with CryptoKitties. I actually bought CryptoKitties and bred CryptoKitties. I think with CryptoKitties, I remember friends of mine who were Bitcoin maxis laughing at me for even playing with CryptoKitties. Right? I think it was at the time, we have to admit that CryptoKitties pretty much brought the Ethereum blockchain to a screeching halt. When people were breeding kitties. I bred CryptoKitties. It was kind of like, once again, just the whole idea of like, the fact that you could do this on the Ethereum blockchain was kind of interesting. I think for me, there was a couple of things that happened that sort of like, when the crash became in 2018, I sort of like, I already had, I had a business, and so I hunkered down on the business, and I sort of left crypto kind of by the side and kind of would casually come in and out of it. And what brought me in was mostly NFTs, but I also had like this thing that happened with my computer, the computer that I claimed all those CryptoPunks, the Mist wallet, which was the deprecated wallet from Ethereum, foundation was somewhat replicating itself on the hard drive, and it corrupted the hard drive, and so I actually lost access to my wallets and my CryptoPunks for probably a little bit over close to 2 years. So I didn't go into the Punks Discord and didn't really engage in the Punks Discord, mostly because I didn't have access, really honestly, because I didn't have access to those punks. And I sometimes think about it that if I had access to the punks and I had actually gone into the Discord and started trading punks, I don't know that I would still have the punks 2 years later, or possibly maybe I would have become a punks connoisseur, like later people who came in later, like people like Nate Alex and Pranksky and Dees, who were very instrumental in creating the crypto market, a punks market. So I think either one of those two things would have happened, right? It's like I would have just sold all my punks for whatever gains I could have gotten, or I could have possibly become also deeper entrenched into the punks and maybe scaled up to other apes and zombies when they were still accessible. But since I didn't have access to my punks, I just I felt like I didn't have any marbles to go play in the playground. So I just kind of stayed out of it until late 2020, early 2021, when punk started to surge. And by then I had recovered the hard drive, the wallet, and those punks. And the incentive to recover that wallet was actually the fact that I had sent 20 Ethereum into a wallet that I was trying to recover, just to have ETH to sort of play around and do transactions with.
Wow, man, that's amazing. But you got the punks at the end, right?
I got the punks at the end. I got lucky in that when you installed the Mist wallet, it created a key store, and the key store was the JSON file. And then I got lucky in that at that time, my crypto wallet, which was Taylor, and I forget Taylor. I can't remember that name, but she's with my crypto, with mycrypto.com. Who set up a wallet because back then you had my Ether wallet and then later on my crypto wallet, and the my crypto wallet actually does allow you to recover a wallet with a JSON file or with a key store. So I was able to play around with it, and then I restored it, and magically it appeared, and then that's when I noticed when I went into the wallet that I had essentially two sets of 104 punks, because I had 104 from the V1s and 104 of the V2s.
Oh, wow. That must have been the best day in your life.
Well, it was, but it was also like before the run up in punks, right? So it's like it was a good to recover it, but it wasn't like punks at that time when I recovered the punks were like massively as expensive as they are now. So yeah, I think I was more excited about the fact that I was able to recover the wallet from which I had done a bunch of ICOs, because I could still get the tokens from. I could still get my EOS tokens. I could get my Tezos tokens. I get a lot of tokens that I had essentially gotten that by then the tokens were freed up. Like if you remember, for instance, like for Tezos was famously locked up in like this court battle for like, I don't know, over a year, where,
was it Tezos that you had, they were selling for like $6 and they were trading for lower, and the ICO was going for like 4 years or something?
Yeah, exactly. No, that was EOS. EOS was the one that had an
EOS, yeah.
Tezos was the one that they had it set it up in Switzerland, and they had like this guy who then was holding everything hostage, and then they were like, there was this whole drama. It was crazy. I remember thinking, I don't even know if these coins are ever going to become available. And then when they came available, it was good that I had recovered the wallet to have those access to those tokens.
Amazing, man, amazing. And from then on, 2017 onwards, how did you feel about the NFT space? What was your involvement? You have been founding some projects. You are involved in some others. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I had being a punk, I had obviously had access to some of the other punks. Other punks started reaching out. People who wanted to get punks would reach out. One of the first people to reach out was an artist, fantastic artist named Han, who did algorithms and did crypto cubes and a number of other projects. He reached out wanting to punk. So the fact that I had a punks, had opened the doors for a lot of people who wanted to talk to me, either to acquire a punk or whatever. And so it allowed me a window into like different projects, right? So through that I stumbled upon art blocks, and then went to the Chromie Squiggles, and then was actually one day I was in my office. I'm like, oh, I'm going to mint some of these. So I started minting Squiggles, and I was minting.
How many did you mint?
I minted over 60, I believe. I minted over 60, and I was trying to mint another one. And then I noticed that the transaction wasn't going through, and then I realized that Snowfro had paused the.
I alerted you because I was minting over 9,000 some cereals there, and I knew it was wrong, but I was like, yeah, let me finish the mint. And then after I finished minting, I went there. I was like, hey, mint 9,000 happened. I thought you would close it, and then they would go like, oh, they closed it. Or maybe it wasn't me the first one who tagged them. I don't know. I like to take credit for that.
Yeah, it was really interesting because, it's like, this was early days. I mean, a lot of these mints are crazy when you think about it, because I think
I never thought I would make money from Squiggles, man. When I was minting them, I was thinking like, I'm supporting a cool project. Maybe art blocks will become something in the future. Snowfro is a very cool guy. I want to support the whole thing. So I was like, some ETH from flipping other NFTs, I was rolling there, and I was buying them just to buy them. It was very different back then. I told Dudley, mint a Squiggle, man. But mint one, I don't know if you're gonna make money from it. Just mint to support. But he did.
I think a lot of us were, I was minting Squiggles just because I liked them, right? They were like kind of cool. They were like, these are all funky colors, and and I think it even took me a while before I realized that they had movement, right? It was like, oh wait, I think it was I was just like playing with my computer one day, and I realized, I don't know what I did. I either pressed like the space bar, and I suddenly realized, oh damn, these things move. It was like, for a long time I thought they were like static images, until I realized one day that they moved. And once again, I'm sure that Snowfro, I don't know, did you know that they moved? Did you know that they had movement?
Yeah, but I think I'm not sure, I might be completely wrong. I think they set it up after the launch.
Got it.
It was a capability that they enabled afterwards, but I'm not sure. I might be talking absolute bullshit. But I also was impressed when I saw they move. I was like, whoa, I didn't know about that. And I was minting them, and I was looking at them because I wanted a hyper rainbow. And I couldn't fucking get one,
Yeah. So just out of curiosity, you still hold all the ones you minted?
No, unfortunately not. I sold some at low prices, but I am not the one who looks back and thinks, "Oh, mistake, hindsight," and I punish myself. Yeah, it is what it is. It's a journey, But I still have my rarest ones. Shout out to Dr. Terminus, man. He DM'd me very early on, and he was like, hey, you have a very rare squiggle, so make sure you don't dump that one. And I was like, how rare, man? I don't understand it. And he's like, well, think about it like it's like rare like an ape. And I was like, whoa. And actually, he because he said it like that, it's rare like an ape, I never sold it, and I was like, I want 200 Ethereum minimum for it. And like people were selling them for like 20, 30, then 50, then 60, then more and more. And I was like, oh, wow, now I want 700 because like apes are that much. But yeah, if he didn't say it like that, I would have probably shipped it. I had offers for 50 ETH, I didn't take them.
Yeah, which would actually be, depending on when you had that 50 ETH, it would be kind of the equivalent of 200 ETH now.
Yeah. Exactly. But I met Snowfro in Paris, and he's like, "So, what's your favorite squiggle?" And I was like, "I don't know what he means." I thought he meant my best squiggle, and I'm like, "Okay, that one." And he printed it for me live there, and now I have it framed here at my house. On
Nice.
Polaroid. So I don't know, man, because I wanted to sell that for like big bucks, but now I don't know. I'm very connected with it, and I have the physical at my house. I don't know. I don't know. He kind of fucked it up for me big time.
Do you have it on a digital display, or do you have it as a print?
Well, when he meets people, he has this like little Polaroid with him.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you have a squiggle, he asks you
Yes.
what is the ID. So you say,
Yeah.
in my case, it was 2506, I think. Or yeah, 2506 or 2509, something like that. And yeah, he prints it out for you and then he
Yep.
signs it.
Yeah, he did that for me at NFTLA for mine. I have a bold pipe 8818, and he did a Polaroid for that. It's that was very nice of him. He's been doing that as he goes around from different conferences, so it's very gracious of him.
It's amazing, man. I love that move. So I went online, and we also have we bought a little portable printer to copy that. We put our twist in it, but yeah, it is a sweet move. Talking about prints, are you going to be in New York? Where do you live, by the way?
So I live in LA. I live in LA. I've always my home has always been in LA. But yeah, I will be in New York. I'll be mostly posted up in the DGen Arcade. So we have DGen Arcade, one of the projects that I'm in with Daniel Artsofly and Jeremy Penn, who is in the space. Yeah, we're going to be posted up. We actually have a DGen Arcade. For those of you who are not aware, is a kind of like a modeled after a video arcade where we have a claw machine where you can fish out prizes. And so the idea is that you can fish out prizes out of the claw machine, and those prizes happen to be NFTs, and those NFTs can go directly into your wallet that you're playing with. So if you're playing with a Web3 wallet, the prize will go directly into your wallet. If you're playing with, if for those who don't have a wallet, it'll prompt you to pay with either Google Pay or Apple Pay, and then it sets up a Magic Link account, a custodial wallet where the NFT will reside into that wallet, and you can just fish it out later on. But it's going to be really interesting, exciting, because this is our third installation, and we had a machine built from the ground up, and so it's going to be exciting because it'll be.
Did you have that thing in Paris too? I think I saw it.
No,
we had some other arcade.
No, it was probably somebody else. It was. We had it at we had a claw machine at NFT NYC last year. We had it in the Astro, but that was more of an analog machine. So what we did is you would still play the machine, but it required you to send a transaction to us, and then we would give you a token, and then you would still play. And so the whole idea is that it was still an analog experience. So what we've done this time around is we built the machine from the ground up, and I think if you go to the at the Twitter's at DGen Arcade on Twitter, we should have some examples of what it is. But basically, it's a redone claw machine where basically you send an Ethereum transaction. The transaction allows you to play with the joystick until you basically fish out a ball. The ball goes through the chute. The chute scans the QR code of the ball, and that prize goes directly to your wallet. So it's kind of like for us, the project is like kind of both a blockchain as a service play, because it's like you can have people who are already familiar with the Ethereum ecosystem play, but it's also an onboarding mechanism. We can onboard new people because you can basically pay and engage in getting an Ethereum NFT by basically paying with a debit card or.
So where will you have those machines in New York?
We will be in Soho. We will be in Soho. If anybody went to last year's gallery Bright Moments. We're literally two doors down, and so we'll be posting the address. We're going to be posted. We're going to post the address on our Twitter handle, but we will be there for 3 days. So we will be there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll be posted up there.
Are you joining our event on Thursday?
The Punks lunch?
No, we have a Redlioneye event.
Yeah, absolutely. What? Let me know, and I'll be happy to be there.
It's on Friday the 14th. We just announced it. The tweet literally just came out now.
There you go.
We timed it according to the talk.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We should. I also want, before I forget, I want to mention that my favorite Redlioneye Gazette is issue number 44, that actually has the claw machine as
yes. You know how that came to be.
No, tell me.
When Snowfro launched Art Blocks, we had the Gazette was already going, and we had a little immature section called Shameless Shilling. Despite its name, it was oriented towards quality projects. So I would find people who launch projects, and I thought they would be cool. And I asked them, hey, if you want to make an article about your project and how cool it is, like I want to publish it in the Shameless Shilling section. And one of the guys that actually said yes was Snowfro. And the article he wrote, we published there. And over there, he described it like, like an arcade, like you put a coin, like, and you get the prize at the end. You put a coin and you flip the switch or whatever, you press the button and you get a prize back. And this is where we got the idea of like how to pay tribute to them, and this is the story behind this cover.
I love the cover because it so for those, just to describe it, it's basically a claw machine. It's looking from the back forward to the player, and the claw goes down, picks up a squiggle, and puts it through the chute, and the individual celebrates the win, right? And then on the front, you can read it. It's backwards, and you can read that it says Art Blocks on the window of the arcade machine. I love
it was not only squiggles, it was like a lot of Art Blocks projects.
Squiggles. I can see Unigrids. Yeah. I can see just a number of
projects at the time. Yeah, at the time.
Yes. Yeah, you can see spirals and a number of other ones. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, man. And since you mentioned it, thank you so much for being such an early supporter. I remember still when we were minting on Rarible, you were one of the first punks that supported us, and I will be forever grateful, man, for that. I mean, it's like the money is nothing. It was just like how it felt. I cannot fucking describe it, man. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. I actually, when I discovered Redlioneye, so I discovered Redlioneye, and I think I bought on Rarible, and then later on you launched on OpenSea, and I remember like buying the Golden Lion Club, and actually I bought the Golden Lion Club. I bought it, and I didn't realize that you had there was another tier above the Golden Lion, right?
There was Silver Lion, Gold Lion, and Red Lion.
Right.
Gold Lion were 6 months, Red Lion was 1 year, and Silver Lion were like 3 months. Yeah.
And so I remember like buying it and then realizing, oh damn, the red one's a year, and I don't know why in my mind, it just I looked at it and gold is generally like the best, so I didn't realize it until afterwards. I'm like, oh damn, actually the red one is actually the full year. But yeah, so I bought one, and then so I still have all my gazettes. I mean, it's like you later on you did. I mean, ton. It's like there was the Gazette with the punks. When punks were going extremely high, and then about NFTs being dead, and it's just like there's then the whole just the me bits and So
we are still pushing it forward with exploring cover art as an art medium. Nobody else is doing that, so why not?
Yeah, no, I love so for me, I love the fact that here's a magazine that's on the Ethereum blockchain, right? So that. So I'm enamored with Ethereum and the whole aspect of NFTs and just assets on the blockchain, because it's like, as a collector, you can imagine that, I can buy a movie as an NFT. That's one of the things that we spoke with another fellow punk, Miguel Faust, with Calladita, and I'm like, Miguel, do you realize that if we release Calladita as an NFC, you can actually have your grandchildren's grandchildren be able to watch Calladita 100 years from now?
Yeah, 100%, man. And not just that, but it's like it gives him the opportunity to make the movie that he wanted, no strings attached. So that's also an amazing thing.
It is. It is.
But yeah, man, thank you so much for your kind words. Up there, we just posted our event in New York. We will be with Joy, Red Lions, Food Masku, Regulars, Masna, and Ray. Everybody top name. It's gonna be an amazing event. It will be amazing to have you there if you wanna come, man. I will
We
send
love
you a
to love to
VIP
join you.
invite.
Thank you, and please, everybody in the room, please, if you get a chance, stop by the Asian Arcade. There's 3 days. We will have a lot of activities, and if you're a Ness and Snuffy holder, they have their annual pizza party there. We'll have a bunch of stuff. It's going to be pretty exciting. We're going to have digital NFT ledgers in the machine that you can fish out for actual physical ledgers, and so yeah, it's gonna be a
Man,
really fun time.
Ledgers is doing huge promos, man. Also in Paris, they were giving tons of them.
Yeah, so Ledger, I don't know if people know, but you can go on OpenSea and buy an NFT of an NOx or an NOS, and you can redeem it on their website for a physical ledger. So, we also have a sneaker company that's going to be putting sneakers in as NFTs that you can redeem, at a later time. So yeah, it's the whole aspect of NFTs for in real life events and event ticketing and just experiences, as well as physical items, is just beginning, and it's going to become even greater.
What do you what is your like biggest let's say complaint about the space? What is the not quite there yet?
Oh God,
Where to start?
yeah, I think my biggest complaint is about stuff that happened like yesterday, like where Elon tweets about Doge, he tweets about sees the memes, and then he tweets, and then that's like, it's just the fact that we are still in a very speculative aspect of NFTs, and really we're not addressing utility. It's a symptom of just the fact that it's still a nascent industry and everything is still getting started, and there's a lot of things that we can come. I think it's less of a complaint than it is about the fact that all things that happen just sort of points to the opportunity. For instance, Alejandro is here, who is co-founder with me in Obscura, and we're still looking at Obscura to potentially be something like the Getty Images on the blockchain. It's like, so there's a lot of opportunity, and I think I have less of a complaint more than an observation. I just think that things are going to happen. Noobs are going to get wrecked. People are going to lose their stuff. It's like, it's just crypto's hard. Seed phrases and hardware wallets and software wallets. I mean, look, I got up at 4:00 in the morning this morning because I was on a call with Cryptonovo and Ledger, and Cryptonovo, who famously, got hacked out of several punks and some very high valuable assets. But I'm emboldened and encouraged by the fact that we have an amazing community. Most community members really want good for the space, and speculators and people come in and out, but the real hardcore, true diehard Ethereum, people who want to do good by NFTs will remain, and it'll be a cycle, and things will get better. And I'm fully confident that that'll happen, and it's going to be good.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I agree, and for those who listen to our broadcast, they know I repeat this all the time. But NFTs is like YouTube when it launched in 2006. It's very mature. You know, it was only fart videos and fail compilations that would get any views. Any quality content would be disregarded as boring. And
Yep.
now it's completely the opposite. It's like advertiser friendly, amazing content about every fucking thing. So this is what I think it's gonna happen with NFTs, but in the sense of like it will also revolutionize like every media industry from YouTube to advertising because suddenly the people who hold the attention they don't need to advertise you. They can sell their own product and it can be as good as yours, or it can be a digital product if they don't want to be selling any product. So there is an alternative to people who don't want to be using ads as a revenue.
Correct.
But yeah, in general, I completely agree with that, and it's very sad to see, but it's also you know what makes us more determined to keep pushing, I guess.
Yeah, growing pains
Yeah. You know, for the culture.
of the culture. Please
Exactly.
believe.
Exactly. And is there something that you are now looking forward to and you're very excited?
Oh God, there's a lot. So we're working right now with Degen Arcade. We have some upgrades to Obscura. I actually sent you a link to something, a project that's near and dear to me that I helped two fellow punks from Mexico work on, which is the Ethereans. You know, you know, kind of like the NFTs have gone through that cycle as well as like ICOs, where like, you know, they went to like these highs and now they're like in the midst of a bear market, right? But
Mm,
one of the things that I'm reminded of about with the ICO period is that a lot of good projects came out of the ICO craze, right? Like out of the implosion and then the bear market. For instance, MakerDAO came out of that. Uniswap came out of that, and I sent you a link that I, you know, in a DM that I want you to check out because it's the Ethereans, and the Ethereans, as you see, if you look at what they're building, I mean, it's funny because somebody messaged me after demoing the video game that they're working on, and they're like, "Wait, this is the video game that they're building, and yet their floor price of the Ethereans is this." It's like this can't be, and that shows you the fact that there are going to be immense opportunities in quality projects if you can discern which ones they are that'll have a hyper growth. Um,
mhm.
and that's the opportunity. The opportunity is now within NFT. There's a lot of NFT projects that are kind of like deemed dead that will suddenly resuscitate, just like during the ICO, you had a couple of projects that suddenly just made it big, right?
Yeah,
And
but
I think
very few. I would say less than 1%. Most of the 2017 ICO projects are dead, and
and
that's a good thing.
and and it'll be the same for NFTs. It'll be
Yeah.
99% of NFTs will not have any value whatsoever. And I hate to say that. And I remember saying that early on in late 2021, early 2022, and people accused me of fudding. But I said, you know, a lot of NFTs will just like ICOs fail to deliver, and then when they run out of money, they will basically no longer be able to produce whatever it is that they're trying to produce, and will just die on the vine and disappear.
Yeah, a lot of projects. I don't think art falls into that category. I think projects, as in terms of like uh, quick projects that were created for a monetary incentive, like a quick copy paste and all of that's going nowhere. But as you said, there was a seed, and there have been some grassroots communities that sprouted out of it, and we are still seeing communities coming out and being created even in the bear market. However, it's very sad that there is only like 5,000 people and the interest is extremely low. So if someone is a creator and he's doing a quality project, quality content in the NFT space, gets zero attention when you see some fart comes out tomorrow and it's like 20,000 Ethereum volume. That is a hard cope, you know.
It is. I totally agree with you.
No matter how people try to downplay it. I mean, like I try to rationalize and understand how it's all part of the game, but it can sting a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thanks everyone for coming in. Big shout out to everybody listening: Alejandro, Scali, Dudley, 3D Punks, Julie, God Save, Raul. Curly, Sweet Potato, Mitch, very excited. Thanks everyone for coming in and listening to us. If you guys want to join the conversation, just raise your hand and we'll pass the mic. You mentioned Alejandro earlier and the Obscura DAO, and I wanted to say it was a wonderful chat, and it really, really changed my mind how I think about photography, and it was an amazing guest to have. Like a lot of the topics we touched, I still bring up to my other interviews with other photographers.
Yeah, Alejandro is an immensely talented, not only is he an immensely talented photographer, but he's also extremely knowledgeable about the photography space. And shout out to Alejandro, because sometimes he explains photography in way more eloquent ways than I could possibly do. So it's a huge asset to have him as a co-founder within Obscura. And I think there's some exciting things that we're going to be doing with Obscura that we're going to announce pretty soon.
Oh man, that's gonna be cool. I'm also going to connect you with our writer, because you're a busy man. So whatever project like the Ethereans or something else you think we should write about, happy to do that.
Yeah, there's actually one project that I'm really interested in sharing with you. And it has to do less with one single project than what I think is coming down the pike, and that's NFT lending. There's some projects that are working on loan aggregators for NFT lending, and I think I think we're about to enter. I may be wrong, but I think we're about to enter into sort of like an NFT DeFi summer, where as people have less liquidity on their NFTs in terms of sales.
I'd love that so much. I'm so well positioned for that.
So maybe we need to talk offline, because I've been talking to some projects that are
Oh
doing
my God.
a loan aggregator, and I think that's really exciting. The fact that you can go somewhere, and if you're a borrower or a lender, find essentially the best rates, whether it be in a 30, 60, 90-day loan on an NFT, and that you can.
But what do you mean lending? Like you get the NFT, right? You don't like lend. You put the NFT as collateral.
Meaning that you leverage the ability to borrow ETH or DAI or USDC off of that asset. So think of it like, if you have an asset that you bought for 20 ETH, and that asset is only worth, say, 10 ETH at the floor, but somebody's willing to let you borrow 7 ETH, rather than selling it, you can borrow the 7 ETH and go play somewhere else.
This already exists, though. I thought you could lend your NFT and the other person owns the NFT for a little bit.
No, that would be more like a delegation. I think that I'm looking at it more from the angle of people need funds from which to go and play, and it's like it's all arbitrage, it's all money Legos, and I think one of the things that we had in DeFi with tokens is you had that, but you haven't had it with NFTs, right? NFTs have been sort of like flipping, but I think we're about to enter more of the utility where, like, okay, can I borrow against an NFT like I would borrow against a house?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there is Ben Dow doing that. There is JPEG.
100% agree with you. Let me interrupt you for a second. The problem that we have with lending right now is that, like, for instance, you have BenDAO. So BenDAO has one way of lending. NFTFi has another way of lending. Arcade has another way of lending. Zarda has. So, like, for instance, with Zarda, you can pay off your loan before the expiration date and save on the interest. on NSC5, you can get a loan, but if you get a 90-day loan, but you pay it within 30 days, you're still going to pay the full amount of interest. So what I'm getting at as a tool that allows you to make a decision about what lender is the best, offering you the best lending aspect, or a tool that allows you to say, I'm a lender and I want to get the maximum returns on my 100 ETH that I'm willing to let somebody borrow over spread out across loans. That type of tool is what I'm speaking about.
Okay, I see, I see. We also another punk whom I respect a lot, Arigato.eth, also wrote an incredible piece about lend your NFTs for USD. NFT finance one-on-one, and over there he breaks it down to peer to protocol, peer to pool, and peer to peer. And yeah, he brings a few examples. Maybe we should update that article and include more platforms and make a more comprehensive
I'd, I'd love
dive
to read
into
about it.
it. I
I'd love to
will
read about it.
connect you. Yeah, that would be nice.
Awesome.
Fantastic. All right, man. Thank you so much for coming in. It was an absolute pleasure and an honor chatting with you. I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm looking forward to meet you in New York, and I will for sure
Likewise.
invite you again on the show later on to catch up with you and see what you're up to at the
Thank
time.
you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Maybe we can do a post and NFT NYC spaces talk about, some of the things. We'll catch up on
Yeah.
kind of on the lending and some of the things that we're seeing. I'd love that. So yeah, and once again, thank you for having me, and thank you for everybody who's in here. I see with hearts, Kaylee, Alejandro, Boca Grande, Panico. Good to see you, Scully. So yeah, thank you everybody who's joined. Appreciate you guys taking the time to hear, especially hear me rant.
Fantastic, thank you. Tomorrow we have a space with BT and K. On Thursday we have a space with Lana Moore and Michael Reader right after next. So we have amazing names coming up when we put out the posts at your reminders. Remember, you are all invited in our event off the chain at 368 Broadway, downtown Manhattan. I hope I said that right. I pretend I know what I'm saying. So it's on Friday, the 14th of April. Red Lion, Food Masku, Joy, Masna, Regular, and Ray all together. It's going to be awesome. We are over the moon with that. We spent so much energy putting it together, and we would love to see you all there. So thanks everyone for listening. Take good care. Mint Gazette. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.